Top of the morning, and it is a beaut.
And the hope of the Irish as the future champion of the world.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio.
Welcome to the Barry J. McDonald podcast. The place where dreams get dusted off and acted on. Because life is too short, we're living on a rock that's flying through space, and hey, what the hell else were you going to do with yourself here?
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode. Now, you've probably read the title of today's episode, and you have totally disagreed with me. You've said, well, I'm not like that. I'm not a people pleaser. You know, I am my own independent man or woman. Nobody is in charge of me. I do what I want to do. But I would argue that there are very few people on the planet who are like that. I think for the majority of us, we are people pleasers. And I think if you are honest with yourself, and if you look deep inside, you'll probably see that you do a lot of things that you do to please other people. You know, sometimes you find maybe a family where everybody is doctors. You know, they tell the next child in line after they go to college, once you finish college, you're going to follow your dad or your mum into the medical business. Or maybe their father or mother has a business and they're told, well, as soon as you finish college, you're going to help your mum or your dad in the business. You're going to follow along with the rest of us. And you will find sometimes people who are adults right now, miserable in the lives that they have, because they're afraid of going against the grain, afraid of losing their parents' approval. And maybe you're not in that situation. Maybe you haven't got, some path marked out by your parents. Maybe they let you do whatever you wanted to do. But I'd say that it could be your friends, it could be another hurdle for you. Because, say for example, maybe you were thinking to yourself, well, I'd like to create an online business. And then you're thinking to yourself, as you start to maybe gather a little momentum, start to get a little bit of success, start to make a little money, you kind of think to yourself, now sometimes subconsciously, you think to yourself, what if I get more successful than my friends? What if I make more money than them? What if I buy a better car? What if I decide to buy a nicer house in a nicer neighbourhood? Will they look at me in the same way? Now, sometimes we don't do that consciously. Sometimes that is like a conversation that goes on in the background in our subconscious mind. And sometimes we see maybe how our friends maybe could turn on someone else. Maybe someone that used to be a friend, they turned their back on them, maybe because they had a bit of luck, a bit of fortune. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, if I go down that route too, chances are good they'll probably turn their back on me too. And sometimes we're afraid of losing our friends' approval. And again too, maybe that's not your problem. Maybe you have friends who will accept you for whatever you are, whatever money you make or wherever you move to. But you might be worried maybe about other people. You might be worried about complete strangers. One of the things that held me back when I started doing my fiction writing, when I started doing blog posts, podcasts, all those different things, was I was afraid of other people. I was afraid of hitting the publish button on a blog post, putting it live on the internet, and then having other people read it, judge me, maybe leave negative comments. And sometimes I used to refresh the page every day or so, just to have a look and see, did anybody mention anything? Did anybody bring anything up? Again, book reviews. When I used to publish my Kindle books, in the beginning I was terrified of negative reviews. Terrified of a complete stranger, someone that I will never meet on the other side of the world, having a negative opinion about me. Now, how crazy is that when you think about it? That you are terrified of someone somewhere in the world saying something negative about you. And yet, here I was in that situation. I was trying to people please, or please people that I was never going to come in contact with. We were never going to cross paths. And yet I was worried what they would think about me. So sometimes it mightn't be family, it mightn't be friends, but it could be complete strangers that we people please too. We're worried about other people. And sometimes we lose sight of the fact that other people are in the same situation as us. They're worried what other people are thinking of them. So we're all kind of in our own heads, worrying what everybody else is thinking of us, where everybody else is actually thinking the same as us. We're all kind of in this worried kind of situation. Now, I'm sure, as I said, if you're honest with yourself and if you think back where you are right now, some of the decisions you've made, some of the actions, non-actions that you've taken, is because you are afraid of losing approval, or you were trying to get approval. You know, you see social media at the moment. One of the things social media is great for is people seeking approval. You know, they'll write a post and then they'll keep refreshing the page, checking out, did anyone like it? Did anyone share it? And if no one likes it and no one shares it, we feel bad about ourselves. We feel that the internet has turned its back on us. And yet, if we get 1 or 2 shares, 1 or 2 likes, we'll feel better about ourselves because we feel that we've got approval from other people. We've pleased someone. And sometimes that is it's a kind of negative path you can go down where you just are constantly looking to complete strangers for approval, constantly looking for making them happy, doing things, saying things. Sometimes maybe just saying things controversial, or sometimes just fitting in with everybody else. You know, not disagreeing with someone in a post, even though you know that you totally disagree with them. But you're afraid of putting your hand up, you're afraid of drawing attention to yourself, because you're afraid of drawing attention to yourself because you're afraid you're going to lose some approval, or people are going to get negative on you. Again, you'll see like big companies as well too. You know, companies seeking approval. Now, I know when you've got a big company and you're looking for customers, you have to keep your customers happy. You have to give them a good product. You have to make them happy about them doing service with you. But you find some of the big companies nowadays are terrified of social media. They're terrified of somebody, a complete stranger, taking a pop at them on social media. And you'll find business as well too, just agreeing with whatever nonsense is on social media, whatever the trend is. You'll find them changing their emblems on their logo, or saying we're standing up for Ukraine, or we're this or we're that and the other, just trying to fit in, just trying to please as many people as they can, instead of just taking a stance and saying, we agree with this, we don't agree with that, and whether you like it or not, you can either come with us or you can leave, but this is how we feel. And again, you'll find a lot of these businesses are just kind of running from one trend to the other, always trying to be right, always trying to look for love, always trying to not kind of ruffle anybody's feathers, just constantly people pleasing. So again, you know, as I said, you know, it's very easy for us to believe that we're all independent thinkers, that we do what we'd like to do. But how many of us are actually like that? You're going to find that very, very few of us really are. We're always looking for approval. Now, sometimes, as I said, if you've got a business, you do need to please people. You do have to please your customers. You know, you do have to treat them nicely. You have to, and if they look for a refund, sure, give them a refund or whatever you do. And again, to your followers, you know, but sometimes if you go down the route of either seeking approval or afraid of losing people's approval, that kind of puts you into a box. You know, that makes you think, well, if I do this, I'm going to lose those people. Or if I do this, I'm going to draw negative attention to myself. And you'll find that, you know, going down either of those routes makes us smaller. We take less risks because we're afraid of losing people's approval. We're afraid of people being negative towards us. And we don't do the things that we would like to do because of those things. So give that some thought today, you know, because as I said, it's probably something that we think we are not. And yet, deep down, we really are. And if you were really an independent thinker, somebody who wasn't seeking approval, would you be really doing what you're doing right now? I'm sure it might be a lot different if you were not seeking other people's approval. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Would you like to know how I went from being a lowly shelf stacker, depressed, no confidence in himself, and how I went from that to becoming a popular children's author, and then on to even greater things, recording and selling my own digital products? If you'd like to find out how I did it, and if you would like to do the same yourself, if you head over to Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com, you'll find a great free report over there, which is called the Online Business Manifesto. And in that report, I'm going to show you the journey I went on from the beginning to where I am right now. And I'm going to show you the 3 business secrets I learned along the way. Now, these secrets aren't secrets that most people talk about. Some people don't even realise that they exist. So if you head over to Rightcom, download the free report, you are going to be miles ahead of everyone else who has an online business. Have a lovely day, and I hope you enjoy this episode.